everybody, how you doing? This is Jason and Andrew with Decker's Pondscapes. Today is another Tech Tip Tuesday. So what we're going to be showing you today is how we close down a pond for the winter. So I want you guys to come along, check this one out. All right, so what Jason and I did was we took out all the tools that we're going to need for this pond closing. So I just wanted to run over and make sure that we know everything that we've got out. So the first thing is our clean out pump and hose. We're going to need that to drain a little bit of the water. Then we've got our blower. That's going to be used to blowing out the plumbings. We've got an empty bucket, which is what we're going to be putting our pump in after we're done taking it out. We've got a shop vac just to clean up any of the small messes that we need to clean up. We've got our heater and a bubbler. And then we've got this really neat, handy piece of plumbing that we're going to use this to stick inside of our biofalls to help blow out the lines. All right, we're also going to need a couple of hand tools. So we brought out an assorted different sizes of channel locks. We've got a pair of trimmers right here to trim back all of the dead aquatic plants. We've got a couple plugs because we're going to need this to plug up the biofalls and the skimmer. And we've got some silicone to help make sure that's a watertight seal. Along with that, you might want to get yourself a nice big pair of gloves. Keep your hands nice, dry, and warm during this time of season. And last thing we're going to need is this net. We're going to try to scoop out as many leaves as physically possible to keep this pond as clean over the winter.
All right, so what I'm going to start with is unplugging the iogen on this pond, and there's two pumps in this pond, so I'm going to unplug both pumps. We want to make sure everything's shut off, and then we can start winterizing. So we've got our power underneath this fake stump here. So I am going to locate our pumps and unplug them. And it looks like our iogen's unplugged already. So what I'm going to do next is go to our skimmer. Most skimmers have a lid on them. Take the lid off. Take the basket out so we can get to our pumps. And we're going to release the check valves on these pumps. All right, so I've got a bunch of leaves and debris in the way. I'm going to go ahead and pull as many leaves and debris out of this as I can. This way I can get to that filter down there, remove them pumps, and remove them fittings that hold them pumps in place. Next thing I'm going to do on this pond is lock the skimmer door. And the reason I'm locking that skimmer door is in a minute, I'm going to drain down this skimmer. And the reason I'm draining down this skimmer is that there's lines that I want to blow out. And in this particular skimmer, them lines come in below water level. So I can't have any water in there when I blow them out. So I'm going to close that skimmer door, lock it, and pump it down. Now, if you have a skimmer that does not have a locking door, you've got to figure out some way to plug that skimmer door. Now, how we do that is we usually take a piece of foam board and we'll just kind of lock it up against that skimmer door so no water can get in there, and then we pump it down. So I am up top at the biofalls. Now we released the pumps down there in the skimmer. The reason I did that is I want to take the filters out of our biofalls, and it's so much easier when the biofalls is empty versus sticking my arm down in like 2 feet of water. So I'm going to go ahead, we keep a rock on top of these in order to keep these filters in place. So I'm going to remove the rock and then remove the filters. While this biofalls finishes draining, we're going to go back down to the skimmer. We're going to remove the fittings that hold the check valve in place. And then we're going to close the skimmer door on that and pump it down and get that skimmer ready so we can blow out these lines.
So now that our skimmer basket is empty of water and debris, the pump's out and the line's cleared, I'm going to shop back out the rest of this biofalls, get the rest of this debris out since it won't drain any lower. Then we're going to blow out this line into the skimmer and redrain that. Alright, so now we're going to blow out the line. If I can get it started.
A few minutes later.
So now that the line is all blown out, I'm ready to plug it. This particular biofalls, I have a 3-inch plug. Some of them are 2-inch. I'm gonna go ahead and install this into our hole.
Now that we've blown out the lines and Kyle has plugged the biofalls, we're going to go ahead and plug the skimmer. Now, like I said before, we got 2 pumps, so we're going to plug both lines here. So we've got the pumps removed, we've got our filter pads removed, our lines blown out and plugged. Now we're going to go ahead and clean up our pumps and filters and our racks and store them away for the winter.
One of the last steps to this process is going to be scooping out any unwanted debris for the winter. It's unhealthy for the fish and it helps the water quality overall.
I'm going to go ahead and install their bubbler in the heater. And some may ask, what do you need a bubbler in the heater for? Well, if you have fish in your pond, you want to keep them fish safe for the winter. So what the bubbler will do is keep water moving so that water doesn't freeze. And then we've got a heater in there which is temperature sensitive. When it gets down below a certain level, that heater will kick on to help with the water not freezing. So it's not going to run all the time, but when it gets cold, it'll keep that water heated enough for this pump to keep pumping. So I'm going to install this bubbler on one of the top shelves to make sure it keeps the water bubbling on top, and that heater is there to make sure there's always a hole in that ice no matter how cold it is, because you want them gases to escape so it doesn't suffocate your fish. Now we got everything removed, we're going to go ahead and rinse everything down, get it ready for the winter so we can store it. So now that we got our pumps clean, we want to store them in water somewhere where they're not going to freeze for the winter. So generally a basement is great, heated garage, somewhere inside where it's not going to freeze. So what we do here is we filled this bucket about 1/3 of the way with water. We want to keep the pump in that water to make sure them seals don't dry out through the winter.
Alright, so now that we got our pumps squared away in the buckets and all the other components together, we're going to take all of our electronical components for the Iogen probe and the controllers to the pumps. We're going to neatly store them in an excess plastic bag and keep them with the pump so nothing gets lost.
So the last thing we do to all the ponds that we close down is we add microbe lift. Microbe lift is a cold water bacteria that will keep them fish safe for the winter. We'd be breaking down any leaves, unwanted debris. Depending on your size pond, will depend on how you dose this. There is a liquid bacteria in here and a dry bacteria as well.
All right, guys, thanks for watching another Tech Tip Tuesday. If this is the kind of thing you like, don't forget to like, subscribe, throw something in the comments. If we haven't done it yet, we'll try to get it done as fast as we can. Don't forget to follow us on all of our other social media platforms. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got TikTok. Make sure you guys check those out too. And as always, enjoy your families.